So hi guys, welcome back into a new series, or officially a prequel to the last series we did. So it's Tim and Toby here. So this new series, or prequel series, will be basically going back in time to how Germany was winning the war, or really how well they were doing until 1943-44 comes along. So first episode here we'll be looking at basically German invasion of Poland, September 1939. So if we go back a little bit before 1939 to 1935, Adolf Hitler had, just a few years before that become Chancellor of Germany. 1935 comes along. Germany gets full rearmament, brand new air force. Everything has been revised and revamped and updated and new. Then a year later, March 1936, Adolf Hitler gets his first kind of tick off his bucket list, if you can say, because the German army has just walked into the Rhineland and conquered the Rhineland. So that's the first great effort that Hitler has made. And then, if you go forward in time to April of 1939, Britain, because they didn't really do anything. What they wanted to do was just a very slight little percentage of it. So what they did do is declare Poland's safety. So whoever disrupts Poland, Britain will bear down on basically the enemy who invades Poland. So long and behold, by August 1939, Adolf Hitler is looking to, he didn't actually in August, but he was looking to invade Poland as his next target, kind of from Czechoslovakia. The next step, to the right of that is Poland, so that's it. So by doing so, he can't just full-frontedly assault and ravish through Poland, because Russia will then mobilise their arms against Germany. So what Germany did is signed what's called a Nazi-Soviet Pact, or the Non-Aggression Pact, in August 1939, basically saying that Russia and Stalin is going to help with Germany's conquer of Poland. So when we get to the 1st of September 1939, Germany declares war against Poland, invades Poland from the west, kind of in that direction. And then, literally just a couple of days later, on the 2nd, 3rd of September 1939, Stalin's troops of Russia invade Poland from the east, going in that direction. Which, is very, very successful. Germany, with its new you can kind of class it empire, but not really an empire, but the new German army used a brand new, not yet really massively developed, but a blitzkrieg or lightning war fast tactic against the Polish troops, which I will let Toby explain in a second. What I've got here, which I'll show you this newspaper in a second. But Toby, do you want to continue?
Yes, so the invasion of Poland was kick-started by a German battleship of First World War vintage named the Schleswig-Holstein. This was in Poland in Danzig, on supposedly a diplomatic mission. However, on board there were actually a large complement of German Marines, which is not something you often hear about, Kriegsmarine parties ready to go ashore. In Poland itself, there were already sympathisers who were about to rise up against the Poles, and were arming themselves with stuff like K98 rifles, all of other kind of things which had just been somehow added to them. When they did uprise, this caused real issues because they were supposed to take a railway tunnel. However, they actually attacked about a day too early, and as a result, the Poles there knew what was going to happen, and they then were actually able to demolish the tunnel when the Germans invaded the next day. The Poles actually fought much, much better than most people give them credit for. They really did fight very hard. They inflicted vast casualties on the German soldiers, and also, to a degree more importantly, the Panzers. The Panzers actually took a real beating, and they took such a beating, in fact, that it actually stopped the Germans from invading France sooner, because they'd run out of tanks effectively in serviceable condition. So they destroyed quite a lot of the German tanks, and this led to the Germans then using captured Czechoslovakian tanks in France and then later on in Russia, which were outdated, and as a result of that, they probably lost quite a few battles. So, you really have to contemplate the knock-on effect of this. However, the Poles in the air could not really stop the German Luftwaffe from just continually bombing and destroying their airfields, supplies, everything. And as soon as that started happening, the end was already in sight when the Soviet Union invaded from the other side.
Right, thanks Toby, brilliant. So now, April 39 comes along, Britain declares Poland's safety, neutrality. So, of course, Britain, stands in the way of the new German Nazi threat. So by the 4th of September 1939, Britain has declared war on Germany, and by the 4th / 5th of September 1939, men of the British Expeditionary Force has actually, knowing that Germany is going to strike a massive big ally afterwards, which is France, they sent their troops over to France to basically train and dig in and wait for a massive German offensive in 1939 against France, which of course, as we know, it never happened. It was a year later in 1940, which will be the next episode. But what I've got here is probably the best kept original, basically, start of the Second World War newspaper, the Daily Telegraph. This one is actually, if I can actually get it, dated there Monday, September 4th, 1939. And on this one here, it says, Great Britain at war. The King's message to the Empire. So this is exactly what it says. This is a news report on exactly what we've said. Britain declaring war against Germany. Then, knowing that France is going to get involved very time soon, the British Expeditionary Force has rushed over to France to basically kind of beat Germany at their own game, which of course didn't happen. We beat ourselves at our own game, which was a bit interesting. But yeah, so now a lot of people don't actually know there is actually a small little pocket, or like a little village, in Poland called Westerplatte. And now it's basically, it begins with a W, but yeah. So Westerplatte is considered by even Hitler himself as the best kept Polish, Polish village by the best kept Polish army there ever was in Poland. So the Polish army who was stationed at Westerplatte fought out for the longest against the German army. And when Poland was finally taken by the Germans, Hitler actually, on a little kind of a massive, you can't kind of class as a board meeting, a big speech, actually triumphed and really, gratified the men who fought at Westerplatte and who were protecting Westerplatte, defending it, as being fantastic in what they did, as being very heroic. So he was very in praise of what they did at Westerplatte, which is quite an unheard of place. So is there anything you want to add just before the video ends, Toby?
Yeah, one last thing is, so the kind of the great myth of kind of the Polish cavalry charging the German tanks, it didn't actually happen, and this is how it did happen. So at the Battle of Tuchola Forest on the 1st of September, the 18th Pomeranian Ulan Regiment had been tasked to recover the retreat of some Polish infantry. In the evening, this unit, which is a cavalry unit, then encountered elements of the advancing German 20th Infantry Division. They then ordered an attack which forced the German infantry to withdraw, so it was successful because the German advance had been delayed. However, when they were redeployed, the 18th Pomeranians came under very sudden and intense machine gun fire of not German tanks, German armoured reconnaissance vehicles that had pretty much just driven in. They didn't know they were there. They didn't just charge out into the open, into a field of panzers, because that would be ridiculous. And then when a group of German and Italian war correspondents visited the battlefield, they noticed dead cavalry troops and the horses amongst the armoured vehicles. That then gave rise to the great myth. Germans were saying, like, oh, look at how stupid they are, they've just charged into our tanks. And as a result of that, this myth prevailed, and it's a myth that's created by German wartime propaganda and perpetuated by sloppy scholarship. And another last interesting fact is, in 1939, only 10% of the Polish army was made up of cavalry, so you didn't get these so-called mass cavalry charges, pretty much just without any regard, just flying across into German troops. So I'll hand you back to Tim.
Right, thanks, Toby. So, yes, just before I end, actually, I will end now. The next episode, episode 2, will be on kind of basically the fall of France and Dunkirk in May, June 1940, and of course Luxembourg, Holland, and all the other Low Countries that Germany take. And Britain is really going to get their comeuppance by the German forces in May, June 1940, as you will find out in the next episode. So, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you then. Bye.